Welcome everybody, it's Unstoppable Stoletzi with another Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition casted game. This time we're back with Break and Made, this time using India. We've seen what he's done with the Chinese Civ, basically rewriting the way you do a build order with them. Let's see what his build order with India looks like. I'm very excited to see it. Before we get started though in this 2 versus 2, let's check out the map real quick and see how it might actually affect the gameplay here. So on this map in particular, you can see these little bullseye things around the map. These are actually windmills, and if you can capture them from the treasure guardians, they will trickle 1 food per second. That's pretty neat, huh? Oh, it most definitely is. Also on the periphery, there's a lot of fish and whales. In particular, there's something really good. See this here? This is a dock wagon. So guess what? These players on both sides are actually going to be able to get a dock down immediately and actually start eating all that yummy fishy very easily. Alright, so let's see what the game looks like, and let's see what both sides have to offer. So on this side, the opposing side, we got the Ottomans teamed up with the Maltese, right? Yep, Maltese right over here. So this would be a pretty interesting combination. If they decide to go offensive, we could really see a lot of things. I mean, probably Malta would probably go more of the pike and shot route. Definitely Ottomans have a number of different things they can do. They can go Jan Abbas, Delhi Abbas, Jan Delhi, all sorts of cool stuff. Back over here with Break and Me though, he's saying we need to rush. So they're going to be very aggressive right from the get-go. They are very good. Breaking Me is taking his opponents very seriously. And most likely he's going to do something with an aggro fort. But this is Breaking Me we're talking about. This is no ordinary player. He's got some very powerful build orders behind him with the China Civ. I can imagine he's got the same sort of thing with the India Civ. Right away, though, we see something pretty big here for the Ottomans. Queuing up about 4 fishing boats. Already has 1 down. Queuing up another one. How about India? Yeah, because the problem with India is, unfortunately, your villagers cost wood, which makes it really hard to get a lot of fishing boats while keeping up with your villagers. It's one of the moments you don't want to be India, I guess. Yeah. Because see everybody else, the Ottomans, well actually France isn't getting too many fishing boats. How about Malta? Seems like Ottoman is the only one going for the full fish boom this early. Should have some pretty interesting results for the Ottoman side, I would say. It definitely means there's a good possibility we'll see a lot of Jans and Delhis later on. Yeah, in the meantime, looks like India's picking up a XP treasure here. Should be pretty good. They get the distributivism wood trickle card. That's always the one you would get at the start with India. Basically because it sets you up in a really good spot where you can afford to put more of your Indian villagers onto food so you can actually age up, right? Yeah, pretty much. And as with any India card, you get a free villager with it too, which is great. So what are we getting from these other players exactly? So it looks like the Ottoman player is going for some sort of a royal decree deck with counter water and fish booming. Because if you see here, we got schooners, which as you know makes fishing boats cheaper and spawn quicker. And then you got these counter water cards here too of galleys. So, you know, it looks like from the looks of it, Ottoman will basically be going towards the royal decree, cheapening it with the mosque construction, trying to get to age 4 very fast, and using that big fish economy to keep it going. Yeah. Aging up with the quartermaster with 400 wood. That spells even more fishing boats from the Ottoman player. Maybe they'll get their mosque, because they're going to need that to keep up with their settler build limit, of course. Getting the schooners card now, so you could expect a lot of fishing boats from this Ottoman. For the French player, they are going with the quartermaster, it looks like. Deck-wise, they got infinite 2 CBDs, 3 CBDs here, infinite 300 coin, That's a pretty interesting one. You got Royal Fencing School. It's a bit different. I will say that. I mean, in general, I would probably say this is more of a newer player, mainly because I see two sort of sus infinite shipments in there. Yeah, because normally with France, you want to have like a bunch of age 3 cards, like Cuirassier, 2 Falconet, Dragoons. He just has Skirms and a Fort, which does not look too good, at least from my eyes. But we'll see. We'll see what this France has to offer. So Breaking Me does go with the Agra Fort, playing a bit more orthodox than I would have thought, you know. Now, is he... Yep, he's getting a market right now. In general, this looks like a kind of India I would do, you know. Getting an Agra Fort, getting some extra houses, getting a market. Oh yeah, pretty standard India. Going for the foreign logging card is card number 2. That's the one I like to do, followed by 700 coin usually to go for a fast fortress of some kind. Starting to queue up the sepoys. Yeah, because that's the thing with India. Whether you're going towards a more quick fortress age or a later fortress age, you generally want to keep training sepoys, right? That's one of the advantages that the Agra Fort gives you. You don't have to shell out that extra resources in putting down a barracks. This way, you're not only able to defend your base and your allies' base, but you're actually able to pressure your opponent a little bit while timing up everything. From what Breaking Me said in his little chat there, he's probably going to go for a full sepoy rush, right? Looks like France is also getting the barracks to support him. What will France do? Will France double up with musketeers, or will he get crossbowmen? What treasure is this? 40 coin, 40 XP, not bad. Looks like Malta is getting a commandery there, already has their hospital there. So what kind of cards does the Malta have? So Winged Core Construction's coming out now. That's a really good economic card for Malta. Basically makes it so your units get 30% work rate around these defensive buildings like the commandery, the town center, the outposts. It sets you up really nicely. That is if you survive. Looks like Breaking Me is already coming in very strongly with the rush of sepoys and the 4 Sawar shipment as well to deal with skirmishers. Breaking Me all on his own is already being a pretty formidable opponent here. The Malta will use the commandery to start training some hussars. These hussars do look a bit more expensive, but that's because they are slightly stronger and they shadow tech as well. Yep. It looks like he canceled that out for crossbowmen actually. Yeah, I think he was a little bit concerned about the sepoys anti-cav there, which is totally fine. Just got hospitality. Rise faster, next age up is faster, and all hospital upgrades are cheaper. Interesting. Is he still actually planning on aging up? I win in this situation, just because you're being pressed very hard. So it looks like the France does do crossbows. I think that was the preferable thing to do, because you have a ally doing anti-cav, so the best thing you can do is anti-infantry. Right? So Ottoman is coming in with some Jans to help protect the ally. They will continue to queue Jan Abbas, it looks like. There's the foundry right there. Jan Abbas should be very formidable for these 2 players to deal with. Main thing for Ottomans would be protect the Abbas gunners with the Jan series. Try to keep them alive as long as possible. Abbas guns in general are really good for blasting through lots of things, as you know. They deal crush damage, which most skirmishers do not, which means they'll melt right through the armor of these crossbowmen, no problem. That's really what they're great at. The only thing they'd have to worry about are these few Sawars. So we'll see if Jan Abbas is a good enough way to defend this base. Right now, it seems like priority number 1 is getting that commandery down, since it's a really key defensive building for the multiplayer. Looks like Ottomans in general are trying to avoid taking any unnecessary volleys there. They need as many Jans as possible to obviously protect these Abbas guards from any sort of cav switch by one of these players. finally deciding to do some hussars from the multiplayer, doing quite exceptional against crossbowmen. Looks like India did a few Gurks as well, so that'll really come in handy for that task. Looks like they might have to retreat after all. Abbas guns totally changing the battlefield once again, it looks like. Ottomans picking up their coin there. 700 coin, right? Or is that 600? So they already got 700. That's their 600. So they're pumping out some pretty big shipments there. What is India going to do about this? Is India going to go age up? Are they going to continue the rush? So India will continue to pump in sepoys and has a caravanserai making the sawars now. Yeah. One thing that you will see all these players doing at this point, except the France players, actually making sure when they have a bit of spare wood, get a fishing boat. It's going to help you with your infantry and cav production. Yeah, that would be one advice I would have for France. If you're given a dock wagon, you may as well get a few fishing boats, even enough to get like 1 or 2 whales. You know what I mean? It's like they say, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, right? When life gives you a dock wagon, you make fishing boats. Wise man said that. Yeah, and you can see it right here too. Yeah. Now, something interesting here we see from the multiplayer. We see that the multiplayer actually got the Carmelite churches, which actually improves their build limit of churches by 2, which turns them into an XP powerhouse, allowing them to zip through a lot more shipments quickly. That's going to be good for getting all these crates, getting the pikes. If they get further, they'll be able to get a powerful 1 Falcon and mortar shipment. That should be very powerful. Oh yeah, big time. France going full crossbow, it looks like, to back up their Sawar and Sepoy wielding India ally. Ottomans are indeed going to age 3. Ottomans tend to do better the further along they are in age up. That's because they get some powerful age 3 cards, right? Which I believe we can see a few of right here. Yeah, the 2 Falconet, the 6 Abbas, 5 Safahi, 5 Delhi. These are some very powerful cards that Ottomans can use on you. And that's why whenever Ottomans get the chance, they're going to try to at least get a fast fortress. But ideally, if they can get to industrial, they will love to not only send bombards, bigger Abbas shipments, Safahis on you, but they would also like to basically get the royal decree going, where they can get even more bombards, get some Nizams. It's really powerful. Ready? Yeah, see, they gotta make sure they stomp this before it goes on. It's bad enough that the Ottoman is in age 3. They gotta use their timing attack appropriately here to prevent Ottomans from getting too big on their shipments. The Ottoman players are actually going to get 1,000 wood right now for infrastructure type stuff. If they are... Oh, wait a minute, he swaps off into Falconet, probably realizing what's going to happen. Smart move there by the Ottoman player. Looks like Malta went with the bishop, has a town center going off to the side there. At this point, though, it's all going to come down to some micro tactics. Sawars coming in from the flank there, looking to pressure the Abbas gunners. You cannot let these Abbas gunners breathe for too long, or else the infantry will surely be gone. In terms of Janissary numbers, kind of lacking the numbers, I would say, Yeah, Janissaries do have a lot of hit points, but you do need a bit more of them, I think, to survive that barrage. The Malta ally coming from behind with crossbows might provide a little relief, but at this point it's kind of a very bad situation to be the Ottomans, because you're losing the worst unit in you're in the worst situation right now, because you're losing the best unit that you had there, the Abbas. It's really the best tool you can use as the Ottomans. Once you lose a big mass of them, things really start to shift away from you, right? But we do see 5 Safahi shipping followed by more Abbas. More fishing boats will come out as well. Looks like we got more crossbows from the multiplayer there, but unfortunately Sawars is just really good against that because of their multipliers against skirmishers and archers. Now we see the Safahis using their splash attack onto this big army of crossbowmen here. Now, in this situation, it can be a little annoying to be a Sifahi because pretty much you got so many units here in this big stack of crossbowmen that it takes you so much time to eat through them, you know. If it was like a little army of skirmishers, it'd be no problem, but once you have that big, massive thing of units, it really wears down on your Sifahi's hit points and eventually can burn them out. Of course, you need to be really careful with your Sifahi because you cannot train them from your stable. They only come from the home city. So best thing you can do is basically keep them alive as long as possible. And they regenerate too while they're idle. So if you can pull them away for a while, heal them up, that's really recommended usually. Yeah. But you got to appreciate the pressure that Breaking Me is putting onto his opponent here with the Sawars, Sepoys, and few Gurks. And the France, in turn, is providing a very good army of crossbowmen to help deal with infantry issues. Yeah, we do see Malta trying to counterattack a little bit there. It's not going too good, though, we can see. Definitely not. Bashi Bajouks. Bashi Bajouks will not be that great against Sawars, as you can imagine. A few Jans mixed in. He seems to be doing a little bit alright, though. Yeah. Just way outnumbered here by the France. Does have the defensive edge, though, because you got your commandery and town center firing on them. That's going to really help out there. Zamar barracks from India. Probably in the event of more Hussars from Malta or potentially more Sifahi threats. Very good move to add in a few light calves now for India, just in case if the worst comes to pass. A few pikemen coming in from Malta as well. They are veteran statted, mind you, so they are going to be a bit stronger. Fight. Yep, definitely fight now. You got the advantage. You got Malta pinned in the base, and you dealt with most of the critical units that the Ottomans could field. You know, the Safahis, the Abiskars, they're pretty drained right now. The only thing keeping the Ottomans filled up is all that fishing boat stuff. Yeah, big time. Adding in some Irish Brigadiers. Very interesting move. If you didn't know, these are basically a musketeer mercenary, and they have a pretty good hand armor, honestly. 40% hand armor. You know, yeah, they're quite good. So, definitely it's actually a pretty cheap mercenary, too, when you look at it. It's like 100 coin, 1 pop. One of the few mercenaries there, 1 pop, so can be pretty spammable depending on what your coin eco is, yeah. Right underneath the town center we see now. Yeah, I think at this point Malta really is not going to get much value out of going pike and shot. But they really don't have a lot of options with so many crossbows and Indian units in their base. Yeah, big time. Does Malta have any of those tongue cards? They do get the French one in Age 4, but none of the Age 3 ones. So no Cazadors, no Spanish Lancers, nothing they can really switch to at this point. Which is kind of unfortunate. Yeah. Trying to pressure a bit with some more Irish Brigadiers on that side, I see. Yeah, it seems like on water, Ottoman is doing really well. But when it comes to like map control, obviously it seems like the France and India team is doing really well. We do see Malta putting a fort over here, and we'll start to train some more crossbowmen out of it. Probably trying to hold on to as much land as possible at this point with so many enemies riding up on them. Pikemen doing somewhat okay against the Sepoys, mainly because they're focused on siege in there. Takes out another Sepoy. Will we see any sort of Mahouts from India? That's a good question. It's about that time of the match when you might be able to switch into elephants and do really well, you know? Especially when your enemies are so cornered at this point. Looks like Ottomans do get their 2 Falconet card at this point. Any other Age 3 shipments? Nah. Not except for crates and combat cards and moving towards Royal Decree. So they're kind of getting burnt out here out of their options. So they have to think real fast how they're going to help Malta out. Especially as they lose settlers, they lose the town center. Things are really devastating if you're Malta right now. Big time. Losing ground very quickly. Commandery is going to also be under siege. The only real thing you have standing there between you and death is that fort. And who knows how long that thing's going to last. Yeah, your Ottoman ally can only do so much to bail you out when the fort is all the way over there, you know. It'd take a pretty big push with these two Falcons and the Janissaries to actually make that happen. Getting the veteran Janissary upgrade, probably because he knows this is going to be like the mainstay unit he's going to have to go with, right? The one advantage you get with Janissaries, they're very tanky compared to other musketeers. They are a little more expensive. They're not as great in the anti-cav department, but they are definitely tanky, you know? They can tank a lot of bullets and arrows, which is definitely good going into ranged combat with your falconets behind you, because that'll keep them going a bit longer. Falconets going into bombard. Does get a sepoy there. Jan's take another one. What do you do, though? You deal with India, of course. They got an Agra fort right here. This is going to be really hard to break through, since this will do so much damage to the invading units. It's not even funny. Going after the second multi-town center we saw be built earlier over there. France is in age 3 now. Again, refrigeration, it looks like. Would be good eventually to see him go with Tralures here. Tralures, or I don't know French. Basically, it turns a crossbowman into skirms. That would be a pretty good option considering how many crossbows the French player has been spamming at this point. And it kind of makes me think now, I understand why the France player actually built the deck the way he did. Because he was going to spam so many crossbowmen that eventually he was going to just convert them to skirms in age 3. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good tactic, honestly, you know. Definitely throws the player for a loop when they see a million skirms in their base. Oh, yeah. Might wait a little bit until he gets a bigger mass of crossbows, though, to make the most resource value on it. But we'll see. Ottoman at this point just looking where to make a move on. Probably you would want to make a move towards the France, because there's no fort over there. The Agra fort is definitely going to be dangerous. India gets stage 3 and gets 2 siege elephants from their cards. Now you got a problem. Now you got a problem as Ottomans. Because basically these are culverins, so these will actually counter the falconets very well. Also, we see a move to age 4 for India. Sharminar Gate. That will basically lead to some free mahouts, right? So we will see some elephants. Now, what's interesting is we see infinite 3 howdahs. That's not a card I usually see. Most people I see, including me, when we're playing India, will do infinite Arumi swordsmen. I've never quite seen the howdahs be used before. I think the howdahs are a great unit. They do a lot of range damage. They're very durable, being an elephant. And, of course, they're great against Cav and Art because of their multipliers. So definitely going to be some powerful elephant play in these last moments, I think, as they try to finish off their opponents. Oof, going for the Ottoman consulate again, the bombard shipment. 2 great bombards. That is what the India player needs to finish off the opponent, is some good siege. They've been doing the whole game with sepoy and skirm and handcav. Well, they can be okay at siege. Definitely artillery is going to make a much bigger difference, especially heavy artillery like that. Pretty sad when you're the Ottomans and the opponent gets bombards before you when they're not even playing India, right? Yeah, totally an India moment when you're the Ottomans. What is that? Another commandery? Trying to turtle a bit. Doesn't have much army left. Burnt through so much food and wood, it's not even funny trying to defend. It's the last hurrah. They really don't have too many options right now. They gotta make their stand and protect this fort. Hey, they can't even protect that fort. What are they protecting anyways? Maybe this? I don't know. Well, let's see if the falconets might get a shot or two in at this point. Whether it's the siege elephants or the bombards, I don't see those falconets even getting any value at all now. Definitely not. That ship has sailed a long time ago. Going after the churches now. Just grinding through Malta's base. Just grinding through Malta's base. Yeah, these defenses are nothing at this point because the bombards and the siege elephants just blast so much damage into the... Oh yeah, it's absolutely a big game changer there. So what we got here, a big stack of Abyss, Janissary, all veteran with 2 Falcons. Great, but you got bombards to deal with. That's going to be a toughie. That's going to be a real toughie. Especially since in the 5th edition they added a nerf to the Abyss, so it now has a malice against artillery. Yeah, that's unfortunately something you have to experience. Big time. Oh wow, look at that. Good blast, taking out a Falcon Ad 2. Wait a minute, did he take both Falconets with... I think so, I don't see any more. That was very, very exceptional. Pikemen. You need to use those pikemen to charge your artillery. He should not have hesitated. He should have just went for the artillery. Because here's the thing. Pikemen are one of the few things you had there that could have actually dealt with those cannons. Yeah, thus you basically lost the match. Good game, though. Both sides did some pretty interesting plays. I do think, though, Breaking Me was a great team player here, helping his ally figure out what to do, how to push, keeping him motivated to keep adding in crossbowmen and helping out. He did a good job in furthering their victory, I would say. Yeah, would have been great to see that conversion to skirms, though. That would have been good. Anyways, let's look at resource count. Looks like Breaking Me definitely broke records here with economy. Doing better than even the Ottomans with their fish boom. Seemed like Ottomans were doing so much fishing with the schooners card, and Breaking Me still sort of came on top there with even more food than he had. In terms of military, who was on top there? Clearly the pressure from Breaking Me led to some very good kills by him, but Ottomans were surely the counterpart, you know, trying to fight back with Jan, Abyss, Safais, Falconets. Yeah. Definitely. But surprisingly, Malta got a lot of kills there. Even more than the Ottoman player did. Definitely. That was pretty surprising. Probably just due to mass numbers and also those defensive buildings. That's why I think it would be. Yeah, definitely France needs to work a bit on their game there in terms of adding some more unit shipments in. If you are going to go for that transition to skirmisher, maybe do it a bit earlier. Once you get a huge mass of crossbows, then you can really get a huge advantage. Just what I think. Anyways, this is really fun. I have not seen a Breaking Me India before, so this was totally a treat for me. Hopefully it was a treat for you as well. As soon as Breaking Me gets some more games up on the HVNI Discord, I will cast those as well. Also, I'll cast anybody's games. I'll even cast your games. I won't cast my own games because I think that's a waste of time. I'd rather see what you do so I can talk about you. Alright, so see you next time. Sign off now. GG, well played, everyone. Always good to see some wonderful Age of Empires 3 gameplay at night. Yep.